Okay, well, today I've got Irene Geller, who was a fantastic contributor to the first issue of the Maga Woman magazine. So thank you, Irena, for being part of that launch issue. And Irena wrote all about emotional eating. And I thought we might just have a bit of a chat about a bit more about emotional eating, getting a little bit deeper. So, Irene, can you just give us a really brief background of how you got into this field of work?
Sure. So my relationship with food started at the age of 11 when we first came out to Australia from Ukraine with my parents. And my parents worked several jobs just to get us set up. And I was at home looking after my 1-year-old brother, going to school, and very lonely and very anxious. And so I became friends with food. I started to binge eat. Now, throughout my life, I've had several eating disorders, binge eating, anorexia, bulimia. So, I had quite a dysfunctional relationship with food for quite a while, and I used food to soothe my emotions. I was in the fashion industry for about 2 decades, and that was about 7 years ago. That's when I finished up. And I had a very stressful business. The fashion industry is very stressful. I traveled a lot. I had 2 children in the interim, and basically I burnt out. So I had, I had pretty much adrenal fatigue, and I reckon I slept for about the first 3 months. And the other thing that had happened is I ballooned out to 150 kilos. So I was depressed, I was overweight, I was, using food to comfort myself. It was my drug of choice, so to speak. Some people turn to alcohol, other people turn to other vices. Food was my go-to, so to speak.
And I think that's a very common story.
It is.
Many
for busy women.
Yeah, it is. Busy women. They're burning themselves out. They're eating to comfort. And they're in the, as all of us were growing up, there was this thing about everything had to be low fat. So we're eating very high carb foods, there was lots of processed foods, and just changing, the mindset around the types of foods we should be eating and what's good for us when we've been told our whole life that fat's bad. And then all of a sudden someone comes along and says it's good, and it's really confusing. And all this stuff goes on, and women, you're not the only woman that's been through this. I guarantee that the majority of women at some stage have been through this yo-yo of dieting, trying to lose weight and all of that. So emotional eating, tell us, what is emotional eating? What is it?
Yeah. Well, emotional eating is basically feeding your emotions, but feeding them with food because you're eating rather than taking care of yourself.
And this is good emotions as well as bad emotions. Well, negative as well as positive emotions.
Yeah, we feast when we're happy, when we're sad, because they're all emotions.
And you have a European background, so I assume very, very big celebration. Food plays a big part of your upbringing and your tradition.
And it still does, It's just that I deal with it in a different way. You see, I've learned to use food to fuel my body, to make myself feel good. So I don't eat for emotions. I eat to feel good. I eat to fuel my body so I can be in a good mood, so I can have good energy, good focus. And I didn't really know about all of this. And I guess this is why I've chosen to be an emotional eating coach, because I feel that there was a gap in the marketplace, that there wasn't enough support, aside from AA and Overeaters Anonymous. Where can one turn to? Where can one go?
That's right.
And, I found that on my own journey. So I lost 50 kilos over 2 years after.
Congratulations.
Thank you. After I closed the business. And basically, I had a personal trainer. I was seeing a psychologist. I was seeing a dietitian. But when I went home, there was something missing, I didn't have that support, that emotional support, someone guiding me and someone helping me and letting me know that I'm okay, that I'm not some, wildebeest that eats,
You've got no willpower, it's all your fault.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and that's a common, we see that
it.
with a lot of, some of the celebrity trainers, and we look at some of these TV shows, it's like, well, you don't have enough willpower, so you just get stuck into it. And it's a real beat yourself up, and I'm very much against this, let's just punish yourself for the body that you've got. And that's been a lot of the messaging that's been coming out. Oh, well, you just got to work harder,
exactly.
Eat less, work harder. You're not doing it. Your willpower's crap. Yeah. But that's not true, because there's more to it than that.
Much more.
How do we know that we're an emotional eater? What are the signs of being an emotional eater? Okay,
well, the signs are emotional eaters are overeaters, right? So they find it very difficult just to have, when they're feeling stressed, or when they're feeling sad, or when they're feeling angry, they don't know how to process their emotion. They're not, they don't know, because they haven't been, no one's given them the knowledge. No one has explained to them what it is.
So that, like when you eat a whole block of chocolate rather than just a row.
But it can be different things for different people. Like, some people will just eat their kids' leftovers, right? And other people will buy a whole tub of ice cream and finish it off. A lot of it is environmental as well. When I say environmental, is if you are an emotional eater and you've got stuff in the house, chances are you'll polish it off.
And is it hidden? Do a lot of women hide what they're eating, the stuff they're eating?
Because they're embarrassed about it. A lot of women are embarrassed about their bodies. They're embarrassed about their habits. And the first step to making a change, sorry if I'm jumping ahead.
No, go ahead. This is great.
Make friends with your body, because your body is the body that you've been given, and it's a blessing.
Right? See, I heard an interview with someone not so long ago, and it really hit me. It's like the body you have is the body you've created. So your body, by the time you get to 50, 55, has been created based on every decision you've made in your life.
Yeah.
And so you've actually created what you've got today. The body you have today is
responsibility.
Yeah, it's right. You created it. And that was a big aha moment for me when I actually heard that, because, and whether or not, because I have ongoing pain, and I realized that I created that pain based on the decisions I'd made and what I'd done, the actions I'd done in my life. So I created that. That's my responsibility. If I can create it, I can uncreate it. So I can heal it.
Which means you have the power.
That's right. And I think this is the big message we've got to get, is women have the power to do this. Right.
Well, we give birth to children. I mean, I recently became a grandmother, and I witnessed my daughter give birth. And, I was with her for like about 15 hours through the labour, and I coached her through the labour, with all the breathing and everything. But what it made me realise is that we have so much power as women, yet a lot of the times when we're stuck and we're in certain situations, we'll feel so powerless, but we're not powerless.
No.
You see, we are compassionate towards ourselves, and we build a nice relationship with ourselves, then we can harness that power.
So how do we do that? How do we start to love ourselves? Give me a couple of simple, what's a couple of simple things that we could do just to start with?
So forgiving yourself, right? So say you ate too much. Rather than feeling guilty and being hard on yourself and calling yourself names, which a lot of women do, right? Sit down and reflect. Ask yourself, where was I? What happened? What was I feeling? So asking yourself questions, they're called empowering questions. What happens when you ask yourself empowering questions is your brain automatically goes looking for the answers. And the other thing to remember is it's progress, not perfection. You've got a lifetime of habits, decisions that you've made. You're not going to undo them in one day. So patience, compassion towards yourself, and just, realizing that you have the power. Don't give your power away. Don't say, I'm powerless over this.
Yeah. So what about standing in front of the mirror and just looking at yourself? Because a lot of women don't do that either.
Yeah. I mean, that takes time. It took me quite a bit of time.
Do we just start with little bits? and little bits at a time?
Well,
Or
I think it's different for different people. Like different people find ways of accepting themselves. You know, in other words, we're all different. So what
yeah,
works for some women may not work for others. And certainly getting help from a coach or from someone that you feel comfortable working with, you know, a naturopath, nutritionist, whoever it be that you choose, is a good idea, because accountability accounts for a lot.
that's right. And it is a bit of a team. It's a team thing, isn't it? It's like,
Yeah,
you
totally.
know, there's lots of things going on, and you know, me being a naturopath, I would be looking at some of the physical stuff that was going on, but then, you know, a nutritionist would be looking at your diet. Then a coach would be looking at, okay, what's your emotions around this? So it's like
mindset.
Sometimes you need a team of people who are going to support you at different stages
without a doubt
of the journey.
Just
and
like
then
I had.
right in the middle, it sits you.
Exactly.
And it's no point saying, oh, well, the naturopath's going to do this, the nutritionist is going to do that, the coach is going to do that. It's like, you have to own it yourself.
You do have to own it. And when you take ownership, that is like, it's almost like a breath of fresh air, you know, because you realize that you actually, by taking ownership, you realize you are in control. It's not someone else controlling you. You have the right to say no. The other really important thing is boundaries. I find setting healthy boundaries goes hand in hand with making changes. Because if you're saying yes to everyone and to everything, it means that everyone else is controlling your time.
Yeah. And so with food, isn't that such a big thing? I mean, you go somewhere and people offer you food, and even when you say no and they keep offering you, so just a little bit, just a little. I mean, how often do your friends and family go, oh, that little bit won't matter? And you're sitting there going, oh, no, I've got to stay there. And it can be really, really hard.
It can be challenging.
You know, particularly maybe if it's your mother who's offering you, you know, this fluffy cake or something, and you're sitting there going, she made it for me. But
how can I say no?
No.
You know what I find really helps? And this, because initially when I was doing all of this, I found it very challenging to go to, you know, social events and functions, and, you know, the weekends would always unravel me. What I do now is I decide what kind of choices I'll be happy with, I'll be satisfied with, and I decide how I want to feel at the end of that event, right? So for me, engaging and building relationships and being present in the moment rather than eating is more important.
Yeah.
And, you know, but all of that takes time.
Yeah.
It takes practice.
It's also about to stop feeling the guilt, isn't it? I mean, if you eat something which may not be the best for your body, it's actually worse if you feel guilty about it, because that actually builds all that stress and everything going on in your body, than if you say, you know, this is a celebration. I'm celebrating with my family. Having a small bit, I love the celebration.
As long as you're comfortable with it.
That's right.
It's deciding what you will be comfortable with doing. And in other words, it's creating a plan before you go out.
Yeah.
Like when I go to restaurants, or if I go to a party in a restaurant, I look at the menu and I decide what I'm comfortable having, right? And then there's no guilt, because guilt is basically, it achieves nothing.
That's right. It actually makes it worse.
Well, yeah. You're just like, I think if I could get out there and talk to all the women and just ask them to stop berating themselves for what they do.
You want to slap them
if
over
I
the
could
head
have
sometime.
one of those big microphones, you know, forgive yourself.
Yeah.
Forgive
yourself. It's a big one. Some of the things that I've had clients say to me that they talk about themselves, the words I've heard come out of women's mouths when they talk about themselves, it is shocking. They would never, ever
say that to a friend.
They wouldn't even say it to a dog. You know, it's like, but they'd say it to themselves.
Yeah. I think also, if we're talking about ladies that are around our age group, I think a lot of us have been brought up that way. We've been called, you know, we've been told we're not good enough, you know, like, we've definitely brought our kids up differently. In fact, we might have given them too much encouragement, or, you know, there's always that balance.
That's right.
But, you know, growing up, you know, I remember my parents saying, oh, that's not good enough, or you're this, or you're that. And it's just a lot of name calling, and a lot of that stays in women's heads. And women are really good at looking after everyone else, but not themselves.
Yeah.
You know, having time to yourself daily is so important, even if it's 10 minutes, you know, like it's, because if you're not well, how can you possibly
be there for others?
Be there for others. Yeah.
Well, this has been a fantastic chat, Irena. Thanks so much for really going deeper in there, and the couple of great tips that you gave for women to, one, identify emotional eating, and two, what they could do about it. I'll put all your links and everything underneath this video. I'll attach it to this video. So if anyone wants to chat to you more about if they are identifying with this emotional eating, then they can contact you more. Plus, you've written the magazine article, so people can also read that. All the links are in the magazine as well. So thank you so much for being part of the launch issue of the Maga Woman magazine. I was so excited when I put that out there, and I'm so grateful for everyone who actually came in, wrote articles, shared their knowledge, and made it an absolutely fantastic publication.
Girl power.
So thanks very much.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Opportunity. Bye. Bye.